Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive. It's the prime time edition of the Winning Drive, and we got the crew. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, CJ Vogel, and our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. These days, you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com, and he just celebrated a birthday on Saturday. Longhorns got some of that good birthday mojo from Coach Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Man, I thought they were giving me like a bad present there at the end. Livingston didn't handle that extra point. Well, actually, it started. Onside kick. It started before that when Sark started choking up in the fourth quarter and quit calling the game like he had been calling it. Made it a little bit closer than I wanted. Plus, having All-American safety out makes a huge difference. We see
it does. I don't think people are realizing like the TAF. This should be us kind of realizing how important TAF is in that secondary too. Now, they did lose a lot of guys. As Sark said at one point, you had 3 freshmen out there on the field because you lost so many guys in secondary. We'll talk about the secondary a little bit too. But I want to get Coach's thoughts about the game. We'll get that. We'll also dive into some of the comments Sark had today at the media availability. My man CJ Vogel was there himself. So we'll talk about that. But of course, your questions, comments, whatever you guys want to talk about, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats, jump to the front of the line. You can always just interrupt the show at any time, talk about whatever you want to talk about, just throw a super chat on that. Let me ask you this though. Did you guys ever lose faith? I'll admit, I lost faith in the Mississippi State game. I never thought that they were going to lose this game. I just was, I guess, a little bit frustrated with the way that Vanderbilt got back in it. The 4th and 19, probably among the busted coverage, was also very frustrating. So that was fun. But I never thought Texas, honestly, I never thought Vanderbilt was going to win the game. I don't think I ever had doubt. I probably should have, because Pavia is a dog. And that onside kick, man, that came all, that could have went all kinds of wrong. Like, right. So maybe I should have been thinking it, but I admit when I lost faith in Mississippi State game. I never lost faith in this game. I was like, oh, man, they're going to win the game. It just going to end up being uglier than it should have been. What about you, CJ? Did you ever thought that Texas was going to lose that game? I never thought that.
No, I thought Texas was in a safe enough spot.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, I think Texas was up about 3 scores, 17 points or something like that with about 4.5 left. So, it felt like, hey, go get your points, go get your garbage time yards, whatever. Yep. Just keep that clock ticking. And when they took their final timeout, I was like, okay, like there's no reason that they should be in a position to come back and make this game close. And well, they had a chance, right? But now to your point, Rod, I had given up hope in Starkville. I had started looking at some of the rosters, thinking over the next few weeks, which of the young guys are we going to see a lot more of? How could this team kind of utilize some of the youth for 2026? And I had given up hope completely in Starkville, and they flipped the switch. They win the game and I thought it was a little bit different than this past weekend, where it was just hold on for dear life, and they got across the finish line, but it never really, kind of came across as, oh, this is going down the drain in a way that Texas can't save it. So yeah, it did get dicey, but not to the point where I was like, oh boy, this is in trouble here.
Yeah, I don't think I ever feared that would be the outcome, but I know a lot of Longhorn fans are upset with the way things ended. But I think to me, the positives far outweigh the few negatives that, Longhorn fans have thrown out, and we've discussed, of course, ad nauseum already. But man, there was on the rewatch so many positive. What's your number one positive coming out of it? What's the one thing right now giving you a lot of confidence and optimism after watching Texas in that game versus Vandy?
Well, the positive for me is the first 3 quarters, Sark showed what this offense could be. And he got the pieces of the puzzle together, and he fit them all just right. Mm-hmm. But I would be remiss to say that I texted Rod after we got that score, and I said, that's why you take the ball. That's why it's good to have the ball open and drive. Bam. It's exactly what I said. And then the worst scenario almost happened. the worst thing that can happen to you if you take the ball, and that is the other team scores right before half and then gets the ball back at half, has a 14-point swing, and you don't run a down. That almost happened to us. Thankfully, our defense stepped up and stopped that second half drive of Vanderbilt. But I just thought Sark, it was his best up until through 3 quarters, his best called game of the year. He kept the defense off balance. He was aggressive. He kept them on their toes. They never knew what was coming. It was fairly fast-paced, not all gas, but it was, and I also noticed that Arch was under the center a very limited number of times, which I've said this time and time again. It's much easier on the center when the quarterback's in the shotgun because all he has to do is flick his wrist, and as he flicks his wrist, he punches with his left hand. Okay, when the quarterback is under center, he's got to make sure that ball is delivered into the quarterback's hand securely before he can fire off. So, in other words, you can't be going forward as you're snapping the ball from under center or you'll leave it short. And that's the beauty about the shotgun for the center. It's so much easier. He just got to flick his wrist and he can just immediately post the shaded lineman that's on him or whoever the guy might be. So, but I felt Sark called his best game, kept the defense off balance. The receivers blocked great on that first play on the perimeter. I just thought, man, look at those receivers blocking. That's a thing of beauty, man. This is going to be a great game. And I had a feeling all week it was going to be a good game for us. This is the Sark that I was hoping would come back and resurface with an explosive, unpredictable offense, lots of movement, formations, quick passes, just a lot of stuff going on that I thought really fit our personnel well, And, of course, we can talk about the offensive line in just a minute, the changes that were made. But I just thought the best thing about the game to me, the biggest positive is Sark came back and realized, finally put it all together as to what this offense could do successfully.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned it. We saw not much under center. We didn't see a lot of 12 personnel. It was the most 11 personnel, 3 receiver looks. And, I don't know technically what to classify the Ryan Niblett look, whether
I
it's
agree.
1 or 11. I use it as 11, when I go through these numbers, Rod, but keeping the speedsters out there. Sark made the interesting comment today saying, I think our team is a little faster than we maybe give it ourselves credit for. And I'm sitting there saying,
it's like,
you've been sitting in 12 personnel. It's one of the worst, personnel usages that we've seen the entire season. And, it was the highest number or percentage of 11 personnel, 72% that we had seen the entire season until Ohio State. That was the only other game that was higher. Texas moved the ball, for 350, 370 yards against Ohio State. They just couldn't, get the ball in the end zone. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, Coach, you mentioned a lot of pre-snap movement as well. 52% of the snaps had pre-snap movement. That's the most of the entire season so far, and I think you're only able to utilize it as often as you'd like to with 11 personnel, with those speedsters, with a Ryan Niblett out there to create all sorts of pre-snap movement and misdirection, communication issues for the back end. And, hey, it worked because for those first 3 quarters, it was a completely different-looking team, and I'll tell you what, it was a fun team to watch because they were moving the ball quickly and they were putting points on the board. Going back to that Mississippi State fourth quarter, I think they scored on 10 of 11 drives, with the only drive that didn't put points on the board was the 15 seconds before halftime. So they found something, and that should be your recipe moving forward. And if it's not, then we're going to have a real conversation later on, because what have you seen over the last 8 quarters that makes you think you need to do anything else than what you've been doing?
Yeah, you're too deep into the season now. We know who this team is. I guess there's no, they can have time to grow into this, or maybe they could be this and the potential for this. Like, no. The sample size is, you got it now. You're 9 games in, and they should lead with the pass because they should be a pass-first team. Run should complement the passing game, even if you're talking about like short, quick passes, like those quick perimeter screens that we saw a ton versus Vanderbilt. CJ's also right. He's been talking about it for weeks. You got to go with more 11 personnel. 12 personnel can be situational for you. Use the Niblett package. Maybe throw in some pony if you got it. But that's also part of the recipe and the formula. The Connor Robertson at center, Cole Hudson at guard, money. Great job, coaches, finding solutions to problems, right? So you got your best 5 out there. That's part of it. I think, there are all these little things that he did to tinker. Look at the passing game, guys. It's obvious the passing game, the vertical shots have been curtailed, and they're in favor now of more quick passes. I think he had a 2.5 was his average time to throw, 2.5 seconds, fastest of the season. It's clear there's now a new objective in the basket. Doesn't mean they won't take some vertical shots downfield, but the emphasis now will be on quicker, easier completions for Arch Manning to get him into a rhythm. The screen game is now you've now increased the rate of the screens early on in the games. So I think the formula, it's got a lot of different parts to it. But you're right, CJ. It's the wide receivers are what you need to feature in this offense. And it's not the running backs, and it ain't the tight ends. It's your wide receivers.
Arch detractors will say Yak, it's a knock on Arch. But hey, if you're Texas, you have some guys that can create with the ball in their hands. And coach, if you're a wide receiver, you're saying, give me the ball because I want to go make the play. And Ryan Wingo for the last 2 weeks has been able to do exactly that. Emmett Mosley, very much the same.
Yeah, I tell you what was really nice about, and a little bit subtle, but it was really nice to see, and that is throwing those quick screens outside, getting those defensive linemen sprinting sideline to sideline, and then we get down the red zone, we start hammering with our running backs.
Yeah, good point.
The defense is a little bit tired, they're a little bit worn down, and if that's who we are, then that's who we are. Let's do it. But I've said all along since like game 2, tire the defense out somehow. Throw those quick passes out there. Get those defensive linemen to running. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. We've said that many times. And we finally saw that. And it was a successful running game in the red zone, especially early in the game in the first half, because those guys were a little bit tired and they were a little bit worn down, and we were able to take advantage of it running the ball.
To CJ's earlier point, 250 yak yards. That's the most all season. Last 2 games, you were 450 yak yards, which is like 65% of Arch's passing yards the last 2 weeks have been yak. So the yak is back, yards after the catch. And also, we didn't mention it, but the part of the formula, something Coach has talked about a ton, and something CJ has also been an advocate of, the tempo. And even Sark mentioned before the game, going to use a lot of tempo, and they did. Part of the aggression and the urgency in the offense is just tempo. In that game. So those things are working. We'll see if it, and I think the most important thing was carryover, and that from one game to the next, like Arch playing back-to-back good games, the offense being able to find some things that work for him versus Mississippi State. And then also that carryover to, we haven't seen carryover. We haven't from back-to-back games. Now that hopefully they can put together like a string of games, and we're starting to form an identity on offense. It's later than everybody thought, but it's there. All right, we'll get to some of your questions. I see the super chats. Let's first thank one of our sponsors, our friends over at Von Lane, before we dive into the super chats. Let's thank our first sponsor of the evening. Thank you very much to Von Lane. This fall, folks, there are plenty of places that you need to be. Texas football games, one of them, right? Could be different concerts, could be NFL games in Houston and in Dallas, could be the F1 race we just had here in Austin. Why waste hours at the airport or stuck behind the wheel with Von Lane? You just walk into a hotel terminal, check in within minutes, and you're on board. No TSA, no hassle. Settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats. Stretch out, recline, and enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, and drinks. And if you want a beer or a cocktail, my friends over at Von Lane, they've got you covered. And right now, travel is open through December. So book your travel today for game days, concerts, or even Thanksgiving and Christmas trips for the holidays. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com, and use the code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride with Von Lane. Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane. We appreciate their ongoing support of Orange Texas football. All right, before we start talking about some of the comments from Sark at the media availability, we got a couple of super chats before we do that, so let's hit them real quick. Just a dude says a random shout out to Allen Clark. Hope he stays. CJ, I remember you told me about the little nugget of him on kind of his pass rushing as a pass rush specialist, right? And teaching the guys, and him having, his own kind of private clinic that he conducts with NFL players to help them get better. It's pretty obvious this Texas pass rush right now, it's one of the hottest, if not the hottest in the country. I don't know who in the last 3-4 games has been able to kind of, rack up the kind of numbers this Texas pass rush has.
No, it's been dominant. And look, it's number one in the country right now in terms of total sacks this year. I think we'd all agree coming into the season that they should be in that conversation. And 9 games in, they lead the country. That's a huge win for Texas. And that's without a sack against Ohio State, right? They only had 2 sacks against UTEP. And I think earlier in the season, we're like, hey, man, we talked a lot about this pass rush. Where is it? It's not really showing up. But over the last, 4, 5, 6 weeks, I mean, man, since SEC play has come around, they've been absolutely dominant.
Yeah, I mean, the old adage is that, protection beats coverage, which it does, but pressure beats protection. If this Longhorn pass rush is going to continue to be this dominant, they do have a chance to win every game just based on how elite the pass rush is. The problem is that the pass rush needs to get home before the secondary can be taken advantage of, because the secondary is not as sticky in coverage as we would have liked. So the pass rush is as good, if not better, than everybody is assumed it would be. I don't think the secondary in the coverage is as sticky as we hoped it would be. And that's your issue right now that you got to fix in the bye week. You need stickier coverage. And it's not to say, and I've been critical of the DBs, and I will be, all right? Because that's my expertise. But let me just say this, that I have no problem with guys getting beat because Rob B got beat. I ain't no, I wasn't a top 10 pick or anything. But some of the, like Michael Huff can talk about that, or Mike Quentin Jammer. Listen, Rob B got beat before. So I understand. But you still got to make plays on the football. So my biggest issue is that the DBs are making plays on the ball. The last 2 weeks, I mean, they've thrown it, 80 plus times? And how many plays on the ball have guys made?
Not many PBUs.
I think one PBU, I think it was Cade Phillips.
Yeah.
In the Vandy game. I think you got one PBU in 2 games. You got your hand on one football. So put aside the criticism. Oh, they're giving them too many yards. Oh, they're playing prevent defense. Oh, the DBs, they play soft coverage, all that, whatever. I need you to go make plays on the ball. My rule as a DB coach would be simple. I'd say, guys, I need you to make as many plays as you give up. I'm not going to get on you about giving up plays because that happens. There are really talented wide receivers out there, and they're on scholarship too. I'm going to need you to make some plays on the football, though. And you can't be busting coverages. Those are kind of my 2 rules. You can't bust coverages in my secondary. You can get beat, but you can't bust a coverage.
And how good is Ant Hill coming off the edge? How good is Ant Hill
good.
When I'd hate to have to prepare for that front.
Yeah. No, because think how deep the edges are. Because when you put Anthony Hill on the edge, you're talking about Colin Simmons. Now Ethan Burke is also on the best stretch of games in his career. Nobody's talking about that, right? Have we seen Ethan Burke play this well? I don't think we've seen him play. I think he's at his peak right now. 3
sacks, 6 tackles for loss. You take that all day.
Man, he is peaking as a player. So you got him to worry about. You got, of course, Colin Simmons. Then you got Trey Moore. We forget about Trey Moore because they put him at linebacker so often that, they put him on the edge at times, especially on the NASCAR packages and situationally, and they blitz him from the second level. So I throw him in that category too, because Anthony Hill's kind of in that category of the guys that they can put on the edge and be dangerous. And you got Brad Spence. You can just throw him out there, another guy. Oh, there's Lance Jackson. Don't forget about him. We just forget about Colton Boston. Poor Colton Boston. We can't even get on the field because there's too many damn talented edge rushers out there. And I know he had by the way, that was a BS penalty on him too. Ticky-tacky. Even they said that on the broadcast. But that's how deep they are at the edge, guys. We're talking about 6, 7 deep on the edge. There may be edge defenders, right, that are just as good as Colin Simmons. I'm not getting into that conversation. I don't know if anybody in the country, though, goes as deep as Texas on the edges. I just don't know if they go 5, 6 deep potentially. I'm sure, Miami's really good on edges. I mean, they're fantastic. But I just don't know if, like I said, I'm not following it, but I don't know if they go 6 deep.
Yeah. Which, to your point, you should be more aggressive. You should be able to put your foot down as a corner or safety and say, hey, I know that pass rush more times than not is going to make that internal clock speed up for a quarterback. Maybe I can jump some of these quick passes. Maybe I can play a little bit more aggressive than normal to jump a passing lane. And we haven't seen that this year. I think Jahdae Barron was fantastic at it, right? You
great.
Go back to a number of plays that he made. Right? I look back at the Alabama interception when he was playing kind of in the slot, jumps a quick hitch route. I mean, knowing that your pass rush can get home, knowing that your pass rush has a quarterback in his head speeding up, it's just frustrating to not see defensive backs play with that complementary aspect within the defense to say, hey, if they're going to throw hitches and slants all day, at least make them do a double move or something, Rod.
One of those, at one point, I'm with you. They keep doing quick game. That's why I did say one of my things is I think they should read quick game better. Like when you have keys, in zone coverage, they play a lot of zone coverage. In man coverage, it's easy. I played a lot of man coverage when I was at Texas. You just read the 3-step. Once the quarterback's done with the 3-step, we're going back to the wide receiver because then it's going to be a deeper route, right? 3-step, it'll be hitch, slant, it'll be a hitch, slant, like a quick out. It'll be something, as soon as the quarterback sits up, I can jump it, or at least I can slow my retreat, whatever, backpedal or shuffle. I can slow that down. I'll be closer to the catch point. Texas DBs, they don't read the quick game at all. I think they're just either reading their keys, the number 2 to the number 1, or they're just playing man without reading the 3-step. So they're far off the quick game. They start off about 8 yards, which is not crazy. I mean, you see that a lot of places, but they retreat at 8 yards too, shuffle, or they're bailing, or they're backpedaling. But I don't see them read the quick game. They just react to it. They don't read it. They react to it, but they don't read it. I think you should read and react to it. I mean, you can look at the quarterback. He's going to give you the quick game. When Pavia had the read fake, he would come up immediately, and he's throwing it. And you can get a jump on that if you're a DB. You may not pick it. I'm not asking you to, because you can get yourself in trouble if they do a pump fake. But you stay on the upfield shoulder, it'll bring you closer to the catch point. And you won't be so far. You won't be chasing and pursuing the quick game every time. And then they're so far away, sometimes they miss the tackle. Guy gets right around them. So that would be my suggestion. Like, hey, you guys got to start reading the quick game a little bit, because I think that's what teams are getting easy yards on them on. All right, good stuff there. Let's give Rocky P some love here. Thank you, Rocky P, for the super chat. Good evening, and thank goodness for a bye week. The medical staff is going to be busy. I'm excited to see what Texas looks like coming out of the bye week, rested, confident, and reloaded with healthy players. The 3-game statement run. Yeah, I mean, you need it. The bye week's at a perfect time, Coach. I mean, how would you treat the bye week, considering, man, you had guys dropping like flies at critical positions, secondary, wide receiver in that game? What do you do if you're Sark in this bye week, Coach? How do you treat it?
Yeah, you let your guys heal up for sure. You do a lot of teaching, shorts and shoulder pads or whatever, but just let your guys recover. Do lots of teaching. Go back to some basic fundamentals maybe that you've gotten away from since the first week of fall camp, and work on some things that are obvious, have been obvious mistakes, and just coach them up this week. Coach them up and let them heal. Those are the 2 things that you do during the off week, in my mind.
Self-scouting. That's what Sark said, I believe, right, CJ? That we're going to focus on self-scouting. Essentially what Coach just said. Fancy way of saying what Coach just said. All right, we got our Monday guest with us. I apologize for making him wait. We appreciate him taking the time on Mondays. Courtesy of our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing comes my man Stevie Lee, lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate, joining us. And thanks to our friends at Hardgrove Roofing, by the way, hardgroveroofing.com. If you need a roof inspection, or you have any concerns or questions about your roof, maybe there's been severe weather in your area, whatever the reason, leave it to the professionals at Hardgrove Roofing. Your offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, but they are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. You can't do better than Hardgrove Roofing. Fine folks. I've got a chance to spend time with them. Stevie knows them. He can vouch for them too. Talk about integrity, people you can trust. That's our friends over at Hardgrove Roofing, and we mean that. We call them friends. They're friends of the On Texas football family. HardgroveRoofing.com. All right, Stevie Lee, what's up, brother? How you feeling? How was your weekend?
Feeling great, man. The weekend was fun. It was fun going to the game. opening up the offensive play with a touchdown. That was a lot of fun, man. I ain't never jumped up and down in the stands like I did this week, man. That was good.
Oh, big man jumping up and down. See, I've had people like, whoa, watch out. See what's excited. All right. So, give me your thoughts. I mean, what from the game, what's your big takeaway from the game and their performance versus Vanderbilt?
Man, honestly, man, we didn't know that they were shuffling around the O-line. I mean, I didn't know. And so when they took to the field, and it took a couple series to figure out what was actually happening. And the shuffle actually looks good. And Arch looked comfortable behind these guys. So when he's comfortable and he has time to go through some progressions, the kid can be really special. So he wasn't running for his life. For the most part, he had time. For the most part, it looked really good on offense.
It was interesting. Sark today made some comments. He said, look, it's not the most physically talented offensive line we've got, but, they're working. Yes. And, we talked a little bit about it before we went live today. Look, you got 3 seniors, 4th-year guys in the program on the interior. That's kind of what we anticipated coming into the season would be the case for Texas. It's taken a long time to get to that point, but hey, you got Cole Hudson, Connor Robertson, DJ Campbell. Stevie, talk to me a little bit here. How different is it for interior linemen to play the most physically gifted guy versus a guy that might be a little savvier when it comes to just being at the right place at the right time to make the right play?
Bro, you got to be savvy. You have to actually know the game on the offensive line. So people think that the offensive line is like blah, 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 blah. Those guys actually have to be really smart, man, and play on their feet. Because they don't not only have to beat and play their man, they got to know what the next man next to them is doing and everything. So when those guys are actually walking up to the ball and pointing out Mike linebacker and actually fake pointing at a linebacker or something like that, these guys have to be on top of it. That is the only unit on the field, not the only, but the most important unit on the field that has to play together. And so I can put a big stud out there, but if that stud don't know what his man to the left and man to the right is doing, then it all falls apart, i.e. weeks past when Arch was running for his life. So Sark, I guess he's right a little bit when he says it's not the most physically dominant offensive line, but I don't know if you need that right now. You need the ones that know what they're doing. That are I guess they're ball knowers. Right? Like y'all say all the time. You got to know ball and know where the ball is going, where I need to block, and then seeing guys running out on stretch plays. I mean, that's athletic right there, and actually getting out in the middle of the field trying to block a little bitty DB. That's not easy, but they're out there doing it. So.
Yeah, because we're running for our lives. What you mean? When I see man coming for me, I'm like, oh no, you can't do that, brother. I can't let a big lineman block me. That's gonna be on film. That's gonna look ugly. All right, let me ask you this about switch to the defensive side of things. We were just talking about it. CJ threw out there the stat that Texas is leading the country right now in sacks. And Colin Simmons had a hell of a play. I mean, he basically strip sack, fumble recovery, a true game-wrecking presence. What are your thoughts about this Texas pass rush? I mean, what would you put you could, I guess, project the sack total. What they at 34 right now, CJ? Is that 34?
Yep.
I believe it is. First of all, what's the record? Didn't they tie the record last year? I believe they were close to tying it last year. They were like one away or something like that. Because 2008, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they might have set the record. Either way, I apologize for rambling. But give me a project. They're at 34 right now. At the end of the season, what do you think Texas will be sack total wise? And take away they ain't got to put the playoffs in. We're talking about the end of the 3 games.
End of the 3 games, man.
They're on a hot stretch right now. Like they've put together the last 4 games. I can't think of a pass rush unit in the country that's putting up better numbers than this group.
No question. Now, remember, I thought that they were going to be a hell of a pass rush team in the beginning of the seaon, and they let me down against Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They let me down. I predicted 5 against Ohio State, and they just let me down. But I knew they had it in them. you know.
Mhm.
But these next 3 games are going to be tough, right? We got Georgia in between the hedges, always a hard place to play, all right? And they're going to be prepared for our pass rush. And then we got Arkansas, who we are their rivalry game. You know, they hate us more than they like themselves. And then we got A&M coming in, which playing inspired good football. So it's hard to say. I know I didn't answer your question. I think I didn't answer it on purpose.
Yeah.
So, all right. I don't know how many we're going to get by the end of the season, but these hard games are going to be a test to see if we can still get some good sacks in there. Because when we played Ohio State, we didn't get any. And the talent level at Georgia is going to be on par with that talent level in Ohio State. So I would love for us to come out with 3, 4, 5 sacks against Georgia, but you know, we're gauging the sack totals right now against some other teams. We're about to get in the gauntlet right now again. So let's see then. You know,
that's true. You're right about that.
It's fun. And Rod, you mentioned all the guys that are making plays, right? You know, we haven't talked a lot about Brad Spence, who in his own right has been making plays too. Texas last year had 46 total sacks. That was over 16 games. They're at 34 now. It's 12 away, and that's only in 9 games. That's, you know, what, 7 games less than what Texas had a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. And Marcus points it out, Ohio State max protected a lot, right? They said, hey, we got a true freshman, or maybe not 12. We got a first-time starting quarterback, right? We're going to protect the hell out of him. And Colin Simmons, you're not coming close to him. Now, if Texas were to play Ohio State again, would the emergence of an Ethan Burke have made a difference? Would a Brad Spence and his, you know, increased role had made a difference? We'll never know, right? Unless Texas plays them again. But Stevie, I mean, does it matter to you, given the production up front, if the back end is playing as loosey-goosey as we've seen over the last 2 weeks?
Man. Uh-oh.
Yeah, they have been playing a little loosey-goosey. I'm sorry, Rod. But that's the absence of Taft.
Boom.
Right? That's what I am hanging that hat on, is the absence of him. When he gets back, he's the heady person that gets everybody in their places. He knows football, and you need that in the secondary, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do and need to do. So let's get it. Will he be back for Georgia? Have y'all heard that?
That's
I think that's the target.
It's the targeted date. It's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plan. Well, let's make it reality, sir. So let's just do that. And because he put the defense in great positions when he was playing, and so sometimes it's hard to replace a leader in the secondary like that, and you know that, Rod.
Yep. No, I think they have missed him. I really do. In the last 2 weeks, there's no question about that. All right, Stevie, thank you for the time, brother. I appreciate you always sitting in with us, providing us with great knowledge and insight. How many games have you been to this year? Home games?
I've been to all the home games.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I just want to check it out. All right, so you're going to all the home games, period. You always go to all the home games.
Well, that's an argument in my house right now. So we usually go to Shreveport for Thanksgiving. All Thanksgiving we'll go and hang out with my family. It gives us a chance to unplug as a family and actually just like pour it together. But we play Arkansas when we usually leave, and then we're usually still in Shreveport when we play the A&M game. But I told my mama, I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. I got to go back for the Texas A&M game. And she said, it's all right, baby. I'm coming with you.
No, that's why we love Mama right there. We all go together.
Yeah. So we're gonna leave Shreveport after Thanksgiving and come straight back. Hopefully, we'll leave in the morning and make it to the game. My dad want to go too. So, Rod, if you got any extra tickets, man, I need them.
Hey, if I find some, brother, you the first person I'll call. Bro, trust me. All right. Appreciate you, Stevie. All right. Have a great one, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Stevie.
All right, that's Lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate Stevie Lee joining us, courtesy of our good friends over at HargroveRoofing.com. All right, let's get back to the super chats. Then I want to get to some of Sark's comments. Mama Lee don't play around. I know. Oh yeah, Mama Lee don't play around.
Better give Mama Lee a ticket.
Yeah. Oh, Mama Lee.
Or somebody's staying home. Somebody's gonna stay home.
There was like she said, see that coach, she just said, I'm coming. She didn't say you need to give me a ticket. I'm coming. You need to find a ticket for Mama. I'm taking one of y'all tickets. So who knows? But Mama going, we know that. He might take Stevie ticket, who all know. All right, Rome _77. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Says RO didn't dial things down or play it safe in the fourth. Missed DPI call, missed field goal, and false starts, forcing us to punt. It was fluky, if anything. It was fluky. The injuries, too. The injuries are throwing all the stuff you just brought up there, Rome. Then throw in guys just throw it in the secondary. Guys, losing Jelani McDonald, who is in concussion protocol right now. Yeah. One thing Sark brought up. And, obviously Xavier Filson. He's another guy that went down in the secondary. He said, did he say Manny got banged up, too? Did he say?
He did. He said it, at some point in the second half, he got banged up, and that's why Texas played without their 2 starting safeties and 2 starting cornerbacks. And obviously there's a lot of communication that needs to go on with the full secondary of backups, but he should be fine.
Because he got a bye week to get out of the protocol, and then a practice week. So he'll be back, and then we assume, or at least assume, but I think that, like CJ said, the target date for Taft's return, I believe, is also at least what they're targeting is the Georgia game as well. So that is to your point, Rome _7. A lot of fluky, freaky, crazy stuff. That 4th and 19, like the 4th and 19 still. I'm like 4th and 9 is Ethan Burke got the sack, and then 4th and 19. I think to myself, oh man, this might be. By the way, there was a hell of a block by that running back. Who's the running back that made it? Was that Cedric Alexander?
I think it was Cedric Alexander. He laid a lick on Anthony Hill there.
Man, I've never seen Anthony Hill get blocked like that. That was a hell of a block. And then it was just a great play by the receiver there to get the extra yardage. That goes to Texas. Like I said, situationally, I wonder if they're aware. I know they were playing deeper than the deepest and trying not to get beat, and they were running a lot of 4 verts too. Matter of fact, the one they scored on Stowers, I believe, was kind of a 4 verts concept. Yeah, so I get that. They got to be deeper than the deepest, but there was some freaky, fluky things that happened. I'm not going to – I blame it mostly on the busted coverage. Like, all those things can happen. You can't give up a freebie to the best offensive weapon on the team. You can't do that. Mm-mm. They got running wide open and score. How long did it take it? How long was that? 30 seconds or something? Literally, the only thing that could have kept them alive was a quick score. And you gave them a quick score.
Gave them a quick score. The quickest score possible.
Yeah, the quickest one. I'm like, you can't do that. So that's the one out of all the things that happen. I know some of y'all mad at the refs, and I get it. I don't get mad at the refs. I ain't got the bandwidth for it, honestly. Mac Brown always said, players play, coaches coach, officials officiate. I critique and analyze coaching and players because that's what I know. I don't know anything about really officiating. So, hey, I know either they're incompetent or they're corrupt. That's what side y'all going to be on. I'm going to be on the incompetent side. I'm going to just say they're incompetent. But if you want to say they corrupt, go ahead. I ain't going to – you want to be on that grassy knoll, I'm not going to hate on you on that either, right? But that's how I feel about the officiating. And like I said, the injuries too. I mean, who figured you would lose damn near your whole entire secondary when Vanderbilt's trying to drive to come back in the game. So a lot of fluky stuff. I don't blame necessarily Sark for that. That's, like I said, that's on the secondary. They got to find a better way not to give up a 30-second, touchdown. Bald for the bets. He says, Rod, you ever played with a dislocated thumb? I have not. No, I never played with anything that hampered me to that extent. I think I had a separated shoulder in the league when I played at one time, but different situation altogether. So I think for the dislocated thumb, I'm assuming he's going to have like some type of, I don't know if it's going to be a cast on it or he'll have something on it, coach, of some sort, I'm assuming, to protect it whenever he comes back. And I would just try to keep him out of the box. I'd probably try to keep him in the post. I'd probably try to keep him in coverage. I think it's easier in coverage with a club on your hand than it would be in the box trying to tackle guys. But, I mean, he's going to end up trying to tackle somebody at one point. I'm saying I would try to keep him out of it situationally and try to keep him in coverage because that's easier to do with a club on your hand than going down tackling dudes in the box.
Yeah.
So, But we shall see. Taft's a tough dude, so I'm not gonna doubt what Taft can do. All right, let's get to some of the comments, and we'll get back to some of the questions, guys. Keep them coming. Can we read some of the comments that Sark made at the media availability? And we were just talking about corners, so can we start there? Because he threw out something that really kind of caught my attention when he was talking about the corners and why they had so many of the young guys playing in there. He also mentioned, CJ, that they've opened up some of the competition at corner for the rotation of some of the, I guess some of the reps at corner too. That was a subtle thing that he threw out there that I thought, man, that's interesting. He said, Sark said it was a combination. The reason they saw 5 corners in the Vanderbilt game, after very limited rotation versus Mississippi State, he said it was a combination of keeping cornerbacks fresh and reopening the competition outside at cornerback. So
I like it. Competition's good. It makes
good.
it makes everybody fight and scratch for their playing time. And good for him. Let's find out who can do it. And there's only one way to find out, and that's put him into action. We almost paid a dear price for that, but with the injuries, I don't know that we had much of a choice. But it's good for those guys, even though they may not have been successful every play. It's good for those guys to get in and get some big time game, top 10 opponent reps.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said, "Look, 19 snaps for Cade Phillips. I liked what I saw. I pushed to keep him out there. That's the most snaps that he saw since Florida, right? He hasn't seen the field since the Florida game. He said for Jonah Williams, look, even the 7 or 8 snaps that he was on the field for in the fourth quarter there when Phil Sami went down, he said, look, the best way to learn is to be on the field against a real team when it actually matters. That's the best way to learn. And credit to those guys. I'm sure that's a moment that they'll be more tuned in, when you're on film. I'm sure it's one thing, Rod, when, it's other people that are on the highlight tape, right? Or when you're in the film room and you're watching other people make plays or busts in coverage, and you're like, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. And then it's like, wait a minute, when you're out there, you understand why you did that, right? You saw what you saw in real life time, and now you're applying it to more of what you thought in real time versus in hindsight. And that's how you learn, right? So for these guys specifically, it's huge for their long-term development. And for Texas, look, you need the best that you got right now. So we'll see what that means of these 5 guys that saw time. Who are the guys that they trot out next week? I don't suspect any changes, but Sark's comments certainly indicate that they're open to it.
I think it's just like Coach said, they're just looking. I don't know if they're looking to necessarily see one of the other guys take somebody's spot, but the psychology of open competition. Oh, it's open. It ain't your spot no more. It ain't. The spot belongs to no one. This spot's open. Oh man. And so I think maybe it's to push the older guys more so. But the younger guy steps up and he's making plays on, like I said, they got 1 PBU. They got 1 PBU in the last 2 games, facing like 80-some passes. Right? So they're not making enough plays on the ball. That 1 PBU is by Cade Phillips, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, if the young buck can't come in there and starts making plays on the football, he gets a pick. He's like, all right, let's leave him in there then. See, he's got a knack for it. He's, whatever it may be. So I think that's what the older guys need to watch out for, that the young guy gets in there and starts making plays. Oh, the rule of thumb is just leave him in there.
Yeah.
If you're going to make more plays.
Confidence at cornerback, Rod. There might not be a spot on the field where, you start feeling it, and boy, do you start letting folks know about it. And that's where your plays really start to come in bunches.
Yeah. I thought that was probably the most interesting thing I took from the media availability when he said that. I was like, okay, that's that means this bye week, at least for that group, it could determine a lot, especially depending on how some of the practices go. Alan here says this, and I like this because it goes to something CJ tweeted out earlier. Sark is baiting Kirby on the Wingo screen opening play. Arch will pump fake and throw it to a wide open Mosley Moore Livingston, who breaks out of a block going down the sideline. Now, Sark says the reason that it is he threw that out there, that orbit swing screen in back-to-back weeks as the first play. That's probably the most telling thing, is because Vandy and Mississippi State both went to blitz right early on. and he knew that was a great play to combat the blitz, getting the ball out quickly and winning the numbers advantage or trying to isolate the one-on-ones on the perimeter. And it worked. But what do you think, guys? Is he trying to pull a little okey doke, trying to bait Kirby and his guys? Huh? What do you think?
I love it. I love that.
I thought Jeff Howe made a great point. He said, now you're starting to see plays line up and kind of be set up for other plays. And, it felt like earlier in the year, Coach, you probably attest to this, it felt like there was a bit of a crapshoot with what you saw, with what worked, right? You didn't have any consistency. You couldn't set up one play for the next. You couldn't basically utilize your full playbook because you were just looking for anything that could get you in or towards the end zone. Now there's a bit of a rhythm offensively, and you can utilize the pump and go, or you can set up one play specifically for the next play or come back to it a couple quarters away from now. So that's fun because I don't think Texas has been able to utilize or even think about doing anything like that the entire season.
You know what I would say about Sark? Hey, man, play the hits. Some works. Don't just put it away and not use it again. Remember, you do that with some plays in the game. You do it with some plays in the season. You'd be like, and that's why we've seen that leak play that
tied in.
We've seen it like 3-4 times already this year, right? I'm like, yes. Last year, remember, he was breaking out for special occasions, overtime against Arizona State, big play. Like, no, break that play out. He's gonna break it out again. He's probably gonna break it out against Georgia. Georgia's gonna read it like a book and take it away. But because what Georgia's gonna do, this is what Kirby's brilliant at, right? Taking away your staples. So I say play the hits, and I like the hits, but Kirby knows the hits. He can sing them like karaoke. All right. So what you got to do is you got to break tendency against Kirby. You got to make it look like it's going to be one of them staples and them hits, and then put the remix, and then that's what you got to do. You got to break tendency against them. That's hard to do throughout a 4-quarter game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got a bye week before, which is really good. And you played twice already, which is also really good. And Sark got better calling plays against Kirby the more that he coached against him. So I actually like, Sark going to the game. I'm working on stuff right now, so I'll give you kind of my cheat codes for that matchup. I broke out my notes from last year, but that's the thing. Yeah, the leftovers. He's playing the hits now. In that game, how many times we see that perimeter screen, that little RPO screen over and over? Play the hits. It's working. Don't stop it. Keep going. They can't stop it. Let's just keep running it over and over again. Yeah, man. I like it. So Sark must be eating leftovers now. I always accused him for never eating leftovers because he don't play the hits, man. No, I like leftovers. They're better the second. So some of those plays are better the second time than the first time.
Yep.
Yeah, Rod, I want to add this. If you're Kirby Smart, which Texas team do you prepare for? Because that's the good and the bad. The bad is we've been so ineffective offensively for so many games. So it's not like, and then Sark comes out with a whole different plan and a whole different scheme and he starts pushing pieces of the puzzle together. So what does Kirby actually prepare for?
That's a good point.
Games 1 through 7 or 1 through 8 or whatever we're at right now, 1 through 7, and then here's 8. Is that an anomaly? So he's got a pretty big task ahead of him because if I'm Kirby, I'm going on the Vanderbilt game plan.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be ready for some other stuff. I think Sark would be crazy to get away from what he did against Vandy, but he's being paid what he's being paid while I'm up in a guest bedroom upstairs doing a podcast.
It's a good place to be, Coach. I tell you what, it's a fun time. But no, there's a comment Cordy made earlier. Heupel did it, DeBoer did it, Kiffin did it. Why can't Sark move the ball on Kirby like that? And look, he kind of did in the SEC championship game, right? And the big reason that still stymied that Texas offense is you didn't run the football well. And that's what the biggest test is going to be. If Texas can run for 80 or 90 yards against Georgia, that is the biggest weight off of the shoulders of Steve Sarkisian, of Arch Manning, of that offensive line. It opens up everything in the pass play action game. The quick screen game is opened even more because of the threat of the run. Texas hasn't had the luxury of being able to do that. They couldn't do it against Florida. They couldn't do it against really Kentucky. Mississippi State was an issue. Ohio State, UTEP. You go on and on, but those two games specifically against Georgia. Now, Georgia's a different defense this year than they were a year ago. They don't have a Michael Williams or a Jalen Carter or a Malachi Starks. These guys that were, without question, first-round guys. They're still talented, but they've allowed some big chunk plays this year, which have in turn made them look a little bit more gettable. Now, Texas is coming off of their best performance. I'm not going to say Texas is going to walk out there and drop 40 on Georgia or even 30, right? But Sark did find something in that second game against Kirby Smart a year ago that did work. Now, does that translate to this team, or how does that translate to this team is the biggest hurdle ahead over the next week and a half for Sark.
Yep. I agree. Good stuff, guys. Let's thank another sponsor before we move on. We'll answer some more questions. Let's thank our friends over at Culligan, our newest sponsor, newest member of the On Texas football family. When it comes to the water your family drinks and uses every day, you don't want to cut corners. That's why for over 90 years, people have trusted Culligan. And here in Austin, Culligan Ultra Pure has been serving the community for more than 60 years. Culligan Ultra Pure provides high-quality residential water treatment at an affordable price, including reverse osmosis systems, water softeners, and UV purification lights. Whether your water comes from a well or a municipal source, Culligan has the perfect treatment solution for your home and for your family. And right now, you can schedule a free water test and save up to $600 when you mention On Texas Football. Culligan Ultra Pure proudly serves Austin, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Brownwood, Pampa, and Plainview as well. So don't wait. Call Culligan Ultra Pure Water Analysis and call them today at 512-339-2378 to schedule your free water analysis. That's 512-339-2378. Reach out to Michael Culligan, all right, and the Culligan family. Reach out to them to serve you better. Better water starts with Culligan. Thank you very much. We appreciate our friends over at Culligan. And like I said, 512-339-2378 to reach out to them for a free water analysis today. All right, get back to the questions here. How about this one from Shivam says, hey guys, do you think Derek Williams is completely recovered from the injury? He doesn't seem to be the same as last year. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if he's the same as last year. I don't know if it's injury related or, he just hadn't gotten his sea legs yet because he hadn't had enough snaps out there. But I do think he's capable of being a starting safety for you. When he's healthy, but that's a good point about him being completely back. I think so. See, he slipped, I believe, on that last touchdown for Vandy. I think he was covering the guy on a scramble drill, end up slipping and falling down on that play too. So I like Derek Williams a lot. Like I said, I don't think he has his sea legs yet. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm with you. 60 snaps, but there's still something that makes me think he's still got maybe a couple weeks, or maybe it's coming next year when it comes to being fully back to what we saw his freshman year. Those long-term injuries are not easy.
Yep, agreed. All right, thank you for that one. All right, AJXOXO says, why does it seem like all our DBs play like 10 yards off the receiver? They play a lot of zone. And when you play zone, coach, you play off coverage so you can have better field of vision. Got to be able to see number one, number two, number three, all the receivers. You want to be able to see the quarterback. And so for that reason, they play off. Now, do you need to play 10 yards off? I think they are told, I don't know, the way the film looks, I think it's 8 yards where I see them guys most of the time. I believe most of the time they're at 8 yards. When we played off, I believe we were at 7, but it's still close enough. I think it's because I've told you guys they don't play the quick game. They react to the quick game. They don't read the quick game. I think if you read the quick game, you'll react quicker to it. Most of the time, they're either reading their keys in zone, which is probably the number 2 receiver or the 3rd receiver to their side, and you go through kind of progressions. I was just, CJ was just talking about it. I loved hearing Jadae Barron talk about how his field of vision and how he would see out his periphery. He would basically he would read the quarterback and basically triangulate the number 1 to number 2 receiver to the quarterback out of his periphery vision. He gave credit to his boxing background as to why he had such great vision, because he said he could see out his periphery. And if you go watch him, he would shuffle out and he would keep kind of his field of vision open to the QB while playing that zone coverage, which is why when he had 5 interceptions a year ago for Texas, 3 of those, he was not the primary defender.
Colorado State game is the prime example.
He's jumping routes because he's reading the entire side of the formation. Sometimes to your point about Colorado State, he's reading the other side of the formation. Dude robbed the post from the cornerback spot. So because his vision is so good, he's reading it all, which is why he was jumping routes quickly because he was reading the quick game, and why he was being a great secondary help defender because he's reading 2, 3, and 1 to his side. Dude was just a beast. I mean, unbelievable. Like, that's freaky. You don't do that. Like that's something that's everybody can't do that. Most guys, you got to have a disciplined vision, right, Coach? You go, all right, you're reading the quick game. If the quarterback, if he's going back more than 3 steps or he's not immediately pulling up, then you got to get your eyes immediately back to number 1 or immediately get your eyes to number 2 and go from number 2 to number 1 and get an eye discipline is big. This dude is basically reading the entire half of the field. Like, who does that?
Pretty impressive.
Like, you can't teach, you can't coach that. Can you coach that, Coach? You can't coach that. You don't coach that, guys. Some guys, they got that natural freaky stuff going on. All right. Bald Father Bet says
what does he say, Rod?
Oh, I can't. Yep. Blank Disney and YouTube TV. Remix. Remix.
That came out of nowhere. I thought you were just hitting it.
Oh, Matthew got me choking over here, man. I can't believe Matthew did that. All right. See, Matthew, you out of control. That's why he's the best in the business. Real quick, what happened to me was, as soon as I got that news, I got the Hulu thing. I had no choice. I had to be able to watch the game. I could have just got the ESPN thing, but I don't know. My wife wants to watch some shows, so I just got the Hulu.
Hey, they still got the Jersey Shore on Hulu. Might as well. I mean,
but it sucks because it's late. What I liked about YouTube was when I do the in-game live watch, it's early. Like I'm ahead of everybody with YouTube TV.
Oh man!
So I'm like a play and a half behind everybody.
There's nothing worse. The Kentucky game was my first time ever doing it. I was probably 2.5 hours late behind Jerry, man. And Coach, when you were on, I was sitting there saying, I wonder what happens here. The boys are going crazy,
Yeah, that's why I don't really like. Cause I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm like, I'm waiting to see what everybody reacts to at that point. So, but I mean, it's just a temporary solution. What are you using to watch the games, CJ?
I mean, I've got everything. So
CJ's got everything. CJ's basically probably stealing the game somehow. He's some way that he's hacking the games.
Who got those? If you need those links, let me know.
All right, let's hit another super chat here. I agree with you though, by the way, Ball for the bets. And they do this all the time. The reason I got rid of YouTube because YouTube had just done this. I don't know, like a year ago or earlier in the season. Yeah. I get tired of it. So I'm sure that I'll get screwed by Hulu some way too. I mean, they're all the same. They don't really care about us. That's all you know. They don't give a damn about us, the people. All right, Lane here says, how does Sark make sure our guys are ready for the level of physicality and violence of a bye? We were overwhelmed last year in the first game. Yeah, that's good. It's gonna be physicality. You won the line of scrimmage versus Vandy. That's a start. Winning the line of scrimmage. Because if you don't win the line of scrimmage or at least make it a push or a stalemate against Georgia, it's tough to beat Georgia unless you can, compete on lines of scrimmage.
And not many people do, especially at home. I think Sark said they're 37-1 in their last 38 at home. So
yeah,
look, we talk about what travels, and that's what was so encouraging after the Ohio State game. Defense travels, and your offensive line and run game travel. Well, if you're Texas, you need your defense to get back to what your defense is, and you need your run game to finally show up against the Georgia team. Yep,
I agree with that. All right, yeah, I agree. They were overwhelmed the first time. I think they was shell shocked that first time.
Well, they were moving quick on that front seven last year.
Yeah, sorry, Quinn. He said why he pulled Quinn that Quinn wasn't seeing things. I think everything was moving way too fast for him. The second go around, I think Sark came up with some pretty good ideas, which we'll talk about obviously throughout the next couple of weeks. All right, let's thank our last sponsor of the night before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge, guys. We appreciate our friends over at South Point Dodge for being a part of the Owen Texas football family and sponsoring the winning drive. Hey, Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what the employees pay. That's their fancy way of saying you get the employee discount right now with South Point Dodge. That's the real deal. You won't find a better deal, whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, you need to trade in. Our friends over at South Point Dodge, they pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. So reach out to them today over at southpointdodge.com, or you can go see them in person. They're really fine folks off of I-35 in South Austin. Get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. All right, a couple of questions, and then we'll end tonight's live stream. Oh, by the way, talk about the Georgia game. We didn't say this earlier. I don't know. Maybe we said it and kind of brushed over it. The start time has been announced. It's a 6:30, so it's prime time. Night game, baby. Night games on the road in the SEC. I love to see somebody did the research over the years. What's the win percentage of the road team, the traveling team that's got to go on the road to play a night game in the SEC?
It can't be favorable.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, we'll see a complete circle of the Arch Manning coverage if he were to walk out of Athens with a win.
Yeah.
Complete return to where folks were in the preseason. A lot of folks.
Yeah, you're right on that. The hype would come. You're right. It would come all the way back. The preseason hype where it was at an all-time high when everybody was like, Heisman, #1 overall pick. He's going to, it would all come rushing back if he just goes out there and deals against Georgia. And you know what? I'm rooting for it. I'd take it all day, every day, because he would deserve it against Kirby Smart if he could do that. But Kirby will have a hell of a game plan. All right, a couple of other questions here for the super chat. Sandman says, Coach Ship, I really want a ranch. Can you please give me one?
No, but I'll give you a hat if you buy one.
Yeah. Hey, those hats are pretty sweet. I got a couple of them. They're freaking sweet. Every time I wear them,
you know what? I really want to sell a ranch. So will you buy one?
Just for the hat?
Yeah. All right, Sandman. See if you want to buy one. You for real? You know somebody. You know the people to call. You damn right. Damn it, worth a shot. You damn right it was. Texas Dude said, do y'all think the consecutive road games has prepared this team for that Georgia game? I really think they are as prepared as we can be.
They're definitely battle tested on the road.
That's true.
You've played a tough environment. I mean, Florida, Ohio State. I know it maybe won't be Athens, but it's pretty close. Given the stakes of this game, there shouldn't be any of those jitters when it comes to playing in a hostile environment. You've done it 5 times this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it will help them, Texas Dude. I think you're right. And I think it brought them closer together. There was a lot of maturity on the road for this group, even with that Florida loss, unfortunately. But the overtime games against Mississippi State, Kentucky, I think this team did mature a lot. All right, last one. I think this is a good one. UT Tyler guy says, should the staff consider moving Gilbo back to his former position and try Littleton or Black full-time at the other corner?
It's a good question.
That is a good question, UT Tyler guy. I will ponder this and see, because I'm going to go back and watch some film on Gilbo at the nickel, at the star, and see, because that's something that's worth considering. I agree. I actually thought about it, and I was like, I kind of brushed it off, but now that you brought it up, I think UT Tyler, I'm going to go back and watch Gilbo at nickel and see if maybe that may be a better option. Maybe he's more solid there, maybe more consistent there. Because they tried to pull the Jadae Barron experiment with him. It's like, you can't do it with everybody now. Everybody can't move everybody from nickel to corner. But I've always said playing nickel is tougher, in my opinion, than playing corner. But I'll admit, Gilbo, they're attacking Gilbo. Go look at the targets in every game. It's pretty clear that teams are going after him. By the way, they went after Rob B. I was opposite of Quentin Jammer and Nathan Vasher. You going to throw at a top 10 pick? You going to throw at the guy who's the leader all-time in interceptions at Texas? Probably not. Throw at that other dude over there. So it don't mean you're a bad player because they throwing at you like that. I'd be the most targeted player in Texas when I played. All right. But I also am in top 5 in PBUs because I dropped a lot of interceptions, as y'all know. But I got my hands on some footballs. Got beat, but I made some plays. So that's my biggest issue with these guys. Can we get them in a position to start making some plays on the damn ball? So I'm a UT Tyler guy. I'm going to ponder that, do some research for you. Get back to you. All right. Thank you guys for all of the super chats and the participation. You guys are awesome. Great stuff today. Thanks to Stevie Lee. We appreciate Stevie Lee hanging out with us each and every Monday. Courtesy of our good friends over at Hard Grove Roofing. Speaking of hardgroveroofing.com, thanks to all of our sponsors. Thank you to our friends over at Culligan, new member of the Owen Texas football family. Thanks to Von Lane, vonlane.com. And thank you to our friends over at southpointdodge.com. Thank you to Coach. Thanks for the wisdom and the knowledge. Thank you, CJ. Appreciate all of your hard work. If we missed any of your questions or missed a topic that you wanted to talk about or anything, please direct any of your questions, comments you have that we may have missed to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:15, Bobby and Jerry. And also tomorrow you'll have the primetime PM live stream with CJ Vogel, my man Jeff Howe, and Amanda Atwell. They'll be joining you at 7:15 tomorrow. We couldn't do any of this without the real MVP, my man Matthew behind the scenes. So please give it up for Matthew. Nobody does it better. He's the best in the business. Really appreciate him and really appreciate you guys for watching and for listening. For Coach and for CJ and for Matthew, I'm Mike Tom Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.